I'm live. Goodness me. Now I feel terrible. Good morning, everybody. Let me see if this is working. It isn't. Why is it not working? It says starting soon. It says 8 a.m. I wonder why. Oh, there we are. Tap to join. I'm joining as a speaker in my own event, which is good, seeing as we've got one. Oh, I'm pre-live. Why am I pre-live? I'm muted. Good morning. Good morning. I'm going live. Go live now. There we are. You are watching exactly me going live. I'm working. Good morning. Good morning. I'm working out how to do this. And good morning everywhere. I believe we've been live while I was coughing and spluttering before I even came on. And I want to say good morning. Good morning, Matt. Good morning, everybody. As people join, I want to say good morning. I'm aware that I need to be thinking about my phone, looking at the camera, and also talking to you and being who the hell and how I am. So good morning, everybody. I just want to be comfortable, and I want you to be comfortable. Good morning, Najas. It's just incredible to see you here. Do you know, here we are. It'll do, right? Everything else is a bonus. And we are already. Good morning. Yeah, come up, and then I'll talk to you. Oh, God. All right, don't come up. Listen, just put your hands up and I'll bring you up in a minute as people are joining. Good morning. I'm cognizant that I've got a camera as well. So we are here again, Saturday mornings on LinkedIn at 8 o'clock. And I am Mandy-Jayne. I should definitely introduce myself. We are also streaming, can you even believe it, Adam and Eve on Twitter. So hey, ex-people. And Facebook, hey friends. And you on LinkedIn, and me. And StreamYard, goodness me. The list is ever growing, and my skills are thankfully increasing just a little bit, because before COVID, I could barely know how to post on Facebook, seriously. So I didn't. If you look back at my Facebook, you'll see that from 2019, I didn't actually. I'll let you speak, but I am talking. I'll bring you up. That was morning. Hang on. So literally, I didn't know how to post much on Facebook. You probably all had far longer Facebook histories than me. I think it was the first time I posted where I was at Alton Towers. Alton Towers at the little pond outside there. So I literally didn't. So I don't do that much now, actually. So this morning I'm going to be asking some questions. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Martin. Morning, Tony. You're welcome to come up. It's great. It's Saturday morning. We've not really started. We've only just got started, because this is only the second one, isn't it? So bear with me, guys. I keep forgetting there's a camera as well. We're live everywhere. Hey, come on. Good morning. So this morning I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to talk a bit, and I'm going to want your feedback, because I just think what a fantastic mastermind group could I have already. I'm already excited by who's on stage, to be honest. What fantastic. Here we go. Do you see what I'm saying? What do? You're just like, it's incredible. Good morning, my love. So we're live everywhere. We're not just on LinkedIn. We're everywhere. I've already talked about. So we're going to ask some questions, fundamental questions, I think. So I've asked these of myself this weekend. So thank you for this, because this really does help me with everything I do. And I hope it's going to support your thinking too. So why do we need to belong? That's my first question. And then, well, what does society say about our belonging? And then how, I don't want to rush through these, why do we need to belong? Think about it. Why? Why do you need to belong? Why? When you think about the word belong, for me, it brings a feeling just below my ribs, right in the middle. That if somebody was to punch you in the stomach, that would be where it got you. That bit, can you feel it? Can you feel that bit? That bit, when I think about belonging. So why do I need to feel that bit? And what does society say about that bit? Even if it does say anything about it. And how as a group, as a collective, as a conglomerate, as a world, as a globe, as an entity, how do we make belonging happen? How do we help it? How do we foster it? And then I'm going to ask you how you foster belonging, because our own journey is the only journey, right? We can learn from each other, but we have to run our own course. So, as I was going to say, raise your hands, but you've already done it. You're amazing. In this in-betweeny, I call it the Saturday morning between, somewhere between. I'm in the end of summer and Halloween. It's kind of the beginning of another term at uni, another year, the next level, number 2, the second year. So, again, so in this space, which is also kind of shiny, thank you for being here, Martin. It's my second time, my second rodeo, and I'm so interested in this process. Everywhere on LinkedIn, you, me. I'm going to ask Martin to help me with my profile. I literally wrote that before you came. Honestly, I didn't. I didn't just say it because you're here. How I show us and how I share my story and my message. And my message, guys, is it's just one of freedom for us all from those limitations, from the limitations of the built environment for me, and many other people as a wheelchair user, or the limitations I feel or we feel when belonging isn't felt or seen. I'm gonna really, I already am. I'm not excited. I am having excitement at sharing with you more and more. I'm excited to see my own growth in this space, in every space, and one day it might be possible for me to be a top voice LinkedIn on every platform I go on, because you know, when I think when people speak the truth, when someone turns up at themselves, it's obvious and it's connecting. I've connected with Martin already because he's him. That truth, then, I believe it rings louder than anything else. That's what the saying says, isn't it? I understand it because you're going to see me evolve. You already are. I think I was coughing before I even started live on everywhere in the world. And to grow and get better because of you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for everything you already are, because you're everything to yourself. You're everything already wrapped up in yourself, ready to be everything you were meant to be. So you can share this space, this opportunity, so you can foster belonging and inclusion in this space, because I believe in all that you are, every one of you, and that includes you, Martin, and I hardly know you. And for those people that are already here, you know what I think of you. Good God, hello. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. So, with those you love and those that you reach out to, if you're interested in belonging, and I believe you all are, right? And you all know someone who is, I know you can think of them now. I am. Go on, think. Who are they? What's that? What's the name of that person that you want to belong to, that you know you belong to? Where do they live? What are they doing right now? And when did you last speak with them? Why was it so long ago, maybe? I'm really interested and intrigued to hear about your engagement here, our engagement on this app, and feeds into this game we're all playing. Because let's face it, we're all just getting on with it, aren't we? That game of life, whether we're talking about business or in our home life or in our relationships, the world just keeps on trucking. Whatever's going on, that's always fascinated me. How the world continues turning. Whatever happens. I lost a dear friend. I would call him ridiculously, it feels, last week. Not someone I've met in real life, only through social media, because I didn't make it 13 weeks ago to the Disability Expo. So we spent time on social media, and between ourselves, we talked about belonging. We talked about belonging in the workplace. I can't believe this is happening on the second go. Belonging in business and in society. In fact, he passed away just a week ago, and it was shocking to me, and even more shocking is that the world just keeps on turning. Jurgen Donaldson, known as Not Just the Blind Guy, has passed away. Jurgen spoke often on Instagram about becoming blind, and he was prevalent on this app and Clubhouse, and he's the second Clubhouse friend I've lost suddenly. The first being Alex Flynn, who was he was, you have to forgive me, he was going to take Parkinson's to the top of Everest, but he too sadly died. I just want to acknowledge Jurgen for being a massive voice, an advocate, a fellow disabled human, and an all-round consistent voice for inclusion, and he is already sadly missed. It was something he said which promoted today's room, me having it today. Go do it today, because you never know what's going to happen. So here we are. Thank you, Jurgen. Much as I've had a chest infection this week, so please forgive me if I do cough or splutter. Oh, the joy of social media and distance communication. At least I won't cough all over you. Excuse me. But Jurgen, From here to there and back again, mate, your memory lives on, and I thank you for the accessibility and the inclusion that your blindness brought to this world. I thank you for experiencing that in this lifetime for everybody, particularly those individuals you helped along their pathway of belonging. Jürgen spoke my language, people. Just 13 weeks ago at that Disability Expo I was talking about, Jürgen talked frankly about the fact that his job was taken from him when he went blind, literally, from his leadership role. They told him, sorry to be quite so, I will calm down. They told him it would be in his best interests to demote him and pay him less. Because that's right what you need when you've just gone blind, isn't it? He said,
It's okay.
it is. None of that. He felt like they sounded like they valued him. They actually got rid of him. They told him it was for him they were doing it, in his best interests. They said it was, well, he said at the expo that when he began his journey as a disabled person, I'm disgusted. I'm ashamed to say I'm disabled when I hear this. He already was made to feel like he wasn't wanted. Thankfully, Amazon approached him and gave him an EDI job, an equality and diversion and inclusion role. They valued him for his disability, his lived experience. They showcased what was possible. So, you know, actually, I'm grateful for Jürgen's voice.
I was retired for my best interest.
It's hard, isn't it, Ju? To hear that as your opener to disability, like, I'm really sorry. I've been saying it for years, haven't I, to you? I'm sorry that's your experience when you get here. But I love the fact that you're honest about the fact that you never thought about us. Aren't you?
I didn't.
I know, but I'm just saying, you're openly honest about it. That's vulnerable, right? That's right up right there in those skills I see as being turning up right here. So thank you. And I'm sorry that that's what you found when you got here. And it's not how I want to leave it. It's not how I want to leave it. So thanks. I'm gonna continue if that's okay. You okay? Is there anything else you'd like to say, to you? Thank you for being here. No. So if you've ever lost anyone, which I think could be suggested, that loss is equal and opposite to the position you found yourself in, how you felt connected. Loss, I think, I'm just going to get a drink. I've got a coffee, excuse me, while I take the lid off. I have flasks. It's easier when you're not very good at wandering about. Thank God for that. Sorry for saying that word. So I guess there's some aspects of loss or gaining connection that are particularly pertinent here, and I'm not going to be too long, I promise, although I've got things to say. I didn't think my losses were going to feature in this discussion. I didn't. In this connectivity and belonging. I don't know why, because it's all about feeling safe enough to belong, right? But that's how we feel with loved ones, maybe. Well, definitely for me, the right to be safe to share, to not to be authentic, psychologically safe, maybe. You know, interestingly, it was really early in my life that I felt that disconnect. When my dad died, I was 17. I'm just going to dive into that. Pertinent. I know it's really raw, but it's pertinent. Listen, my dad was a clever, talented chef who worked for a large corporate provider, but he was troubled, probably undiagnosed neurodivergent, and he was alcoholic in the end. He met my mum in London, and she was a teacher at one of those inner city, terrible London schools. He was a soldier. He was leaving the army. He was a chef, but they were both troubled. My mum had a nervous breakdown when she was 18 because her grandma, she lived with her, and her husband died, so her granddad, and my great grandma couldn't deal with the loss. So she took out my granddad's clothes again and again out of the drawer and washed them and ironed them and put them back and set the table and cooked his meals. And eventually my mum had a nervous breakdown and spent some time recovering from that. Why am I saying it? It's a bit raw, isn't it, MJ, for LinkedIn? It's not very LinkedIn of you, is it? It's hardly the tone or the subject matter we need here. I bet it's not Martin's advice. Anyway, we'll find out. Actually, I think I have to, at this stage, Whether I will in the future, I don't know. I must authentically share a bit of myself, allow you in, let you see me for who I am with my flask, right here, right now, for any of us to achieve any sort of psychological safety in this space. And I intend to be in this space, so I best get safe and comfortable. So, if we're to define belonging and how to create that feeling, then I think we need to feel psychologically safe to be ourselves. It's not something I was very good at before, during, or after I turned off my dad's life support machine. It was probably one of the biggest stops in my life until recently. That's another story for another day. It did result in a psychiatric hospital stay for me. And some of the damage from those traumatic experiences impact negatively today, but I'm not going to reject those parts. They are those happenings at every single part of me. They're the fabric of who I am, how I show up in the world. And I share it for really positive reasons this morning. I've really thought about whether it's appropriate. I think it's good for us to practice being unashamedly and completely ourselves. And believe me, it's taken some work to get even here. That safety in my own self seems so far from possible 4 years ago, when I really didn't feel safe to share my story. So we said at the beginning we were going to ask what belonging is. Well, for me, it begins with fostering psychological safety. And that might involve me being able to say I'm disabled comfortably. I am, by the way, disabled and comfortable. Chronically sick and disabled and life limited, they say. Well, we'll see about that. But did you know 43% of people don't feel comfortable with saying disability? Excuse me. Oh, the word disabled. Well, Jurgen was disabled. And in his words, that's all right, actually. But what isn't okay for me is that stat I gave you. 45% of people aren't comfortable with saying disabled, let alone being it. And those stats, I think, feed into the other stats. 90% of severely visually impaired people are unemployed. So if we exclude those sectors of society, how many more groups of people? Because these are people, right? They're not just stats. And how many more people do we exclude? Well, 95% of people with a learning disability are unemployed. So when employers talk to me about a labour market shortage, I have to ask if they have a disability employment plan in place, because they're not difficult. And if not, why not? Contact me if you want one. Or if you haven't got one and you really need to update, I don't know, those pertinent, prevalent, really important, like really timely, like you really ought to have this in there, issues about neurodivergence. I've been in this field 30 years, knowingly. So I think it's important to be somewhat vulnerable here and frankly everywhere. My plan is to be doing the sponsored naked bike ride in London in 2025 as I graduate from university. So I really must either like those mortarboards or have something to say. You know, Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said and they'll forget what you did, but they won't ever forget how you made them feel. Well, guess what? If we're talking about employment, employees are no different. They literally will leave a non-inclusive space faster than Usain Bolt, right? And he drinks my coffee. No, literally, he does. Ask Matt, he does. He seriously. And if you want to know what drives me, give me a message, because literally, if you're going to drink coffee, drink my coffee. Our coffee. Sorry, it's not all mine. It's a collective coffee. So let's go back to those stats about the workplace, though. Half of all Americans, I realize we're not in America. Well, I'm not, and even Martin's not, but they are between us, um, looking for a new job. Half of them, and I don't know about the UK stats, but I'll look at them for another day, unless somebody wants to be a SWAT, which is great. I'm one. If I was here, I'd be like, I'll find that in a minute. We're back on Saturday, so bring that and bring it back and check into my feeds when we're going live and when we're planning an event. Just, show up with this stuff, go and have a look, bring it back. Let's have a collective information gathering. Studies show that 55% of workers would leave their current job right now for more recognition and a sense of belonging. 55%. That's over half of your workforce want to leave you if you're not like this. Bye. And 49% of millennials will leave their job in the next 2 years if they can find somewhere they feel more belonged to. So when employees rather don't feel like they belong, they just look for the nearest exit. So why should you care if you're an employer? Well, it takes 33% of that person's salary that's going to go away to recruit and replace someone when they leave. And then we're not just talking about that. We're not just talking about the bottom dollar. We're talking about productivity and morale and that knowledge, that tacit knowledge, that institutional knowledge you've passed on, all that information you've given, whether they're your PA, your VA, your coup, your whatever they are, right? Businesses who don't address belonging, they're not just losing employees, they're losing money. That's it, full stop. We need to belong as human beings. It's as essential as breathing. It's in our psychological fabric. It's part of our emotional well-being. We're social animals. We have to identify. It's part of our self-esteem. We can't have a self-esteem without belonging. We know historically that we've had to belong to some community. Think about it. In school, in college, in the sports clubs you're in, boxing, whatever it is, belonging. The Pokemon Club. My son is 10th in the UK, was anyway, a little bit ago, and he's 31, for Pokemon, which is fantastic. It belongs to a fantastic club. And this innate need is tied to that deep-rooted urge we talked about at the beginning, that feeling. You can feel it, can't you, already? I've just felt it. That one when you notice it, just under you. Where your breath goes if you get winded. Mother Teresa beautifully encapsulates this urge. The most terrible poverty is loneliness. And remember, 28% of disabled people in Wales feel lonely in comparison to 8 of the rest. 20% of those that are disabled are lonely. And Mother Teresa says, she knows what she's on about, right? The most terrible poverty is loneliness, and I don't excuse my feelings. And the feeling of being unloved. The absence of belonging can lead to a place of lack that money, success, or individual efforts can hardly fill. We don't just want to belong, we need to. I believe that this one-size-fits-all bottom line, money-driven world of business, there often is that one-size-fits-all approach, like manufacturing cars. Well, I'm no car. It reminds me of that factory production line designed for supposed efficiency. But the point is, how can it be efficient if everyone's leaving? I think that mentality dismisses individual skills. I think it removes those different perspectives. I think it removes voices from the table. It undermines our capacity to be psychologically safe because we can't see ourselves. We can't see any of our flaws. It's a false economy. It's a false environment, and it doesn't work. We need psychological safety for us to be ourselves. Otherwise, we end up in that place where we're just putting on a mask, and it stifles our voices. And because we're just too frightened to stand out the wrong way, right? I think it hampers innovation. I think it erodes trust, and I think it precludes the very sense of belonging that would allow everyone to turn up at the table. And that brings, for me, and my experience is that then I get creativity. Then I'm allowed to be creative. I hear enthusiasm, so I'm allowed to be enthusiastic. And then when people are vulnerable, so can I. I think we need to get rid of what's not working. Can't just keep going on the same road. It doesn't work. And some of us have already learnt that lesson. I know you have. You're here. So I'm preaching to the converted, screaming into the void, as my kids would say. But it's everywhere. So somebody somewhere will hear that it's just not okay, because it really excludes everybody. I think we've got to nurture an environment where the employee feels okay to speak up without getting done, right? If you don't know what that means, it means without fear of retribution. It's a Yorkshire saying, I think. It goes beyond the lip service of EDI and diversity and inclusion. And it's about being proactive and having an open dialogue, approaching somebody with love, right? So, seriously, I think we need transparent ways to feed back to each other, and I'm nearly done. I think we also need to keep up the positives, like the hand cycle stories, the ramps that I've just seen at the doors of number 10. It actually looks like they're getting ready for me to visit and not buy the bins like at the House of Lords. But thankfully it isn't anymore. I went last week. We really need to foster inclusion. I think fostering belonging allows people in at the front door, metaphorically and literally, I guess. Both number 10 and the Welsh Synod, actually, because I'm storming the synod with other women in 2 Saturdays' time. I really feel that these stories need telling well and authentically by those who have metaphorically, maybe, but not literally, walked the walk, walked in their shoes. I think we can celebrate then genuinely the diversity of thought and perspective by me leading vulnerably, and I am, if you haven't noticed, and placing value on everyone's contribution. I set my stage for innovation. I get to co-create a climate where people feel they truly belong, and that drives everything good, I'm telling you. So, but to do that, to achieve a sense of belonging, of accepting this moment of connection, of really being here. Do you know what I mean when I say really, really feeling you're showing up? It's crucial to show up in love, isn't it? Fully grounded right now. That requires me to listen and have complete attention to that person or situation, this situation, what I'm doing here right now. Because when I'm present, rather than I'm judging myself or listening, or that voice in my head that goes, it's rubbish, nobody wants to listen, nobody's here, go away, all those. I send a powerful message that that individual voice, my own and yours, I'm speaking to myself here, is heard and it matters. That intentional practice of keeping showing up, and there are people here that can vouch for the fact that I just keep on showing up and genuinely engaging. I believe it cultivates respect and trust, and I think that creates a culture of belonging. I think they are the ingredients. So the last thing my brother shared in a post, unfortunately, we don't speak, which is a shame, and I miss him very dearly. So if anyone does ever connect to him and feels like some psychological safety, I'm not angry anymore. I'm ready to listen really, really hard to his perspective of the whole thing, and I'm very sorry. Oh, and I love him unconditionally. Yeah. And this is what he said. That's what I was going on about. Sorry about that. When it comes to mental well-being, in those that you love, ask them how they are, and then ask them again. Particularly, I would suggest you ask them again and again if you really want to hear the truth. Because as my brother pointed out, and I love him very much, we don't often tell the truth the first time we're asked, do we? Especially when there's something going on. So take my brother's advice too. It runs in the family, learning to swallow our own medicine. Share vulnerably like I am here, and I ask how you are. But then I'd suggest that if you feel there's something held back from people, ask again, but how are you really? So, and that's somebody else that said that to me, Matt. Be inclusive and interested from the get-go. We're talking about employment. If you're an employer, I was going to say an employer, but actually a disability confident person, I'm not being funny, but unless you die in your sleep, disability of some kind is going to come and get you sooner or later. It's on everybody's agenda. So you might as well find out now. I think it's your kind of moral obligation. What, as an employer? Well, it is. It's your legal obligation, actually. I don't know why I'm cringing, but I am. Well, you can see why, can't you? It's a shame. I'm shamed. Good God, I can feel it in my body. I really must go to therapy this week and talk about my shame of asking for my employment rights and finding out what's available for disabilities in the workplace. If you don't know and you're a business leader, contact me. Reach out. Ask your rate, actually. Raise your hand and ask me now. And I'll tell you. So finally, I'm going to finish with Jurgen's words. She's like, finally, 27 minutes later. It makes me feel like I'm honouring his voice, so bear with me. It's a tiny snippet into a massive, massive ocean of connectivity. His voice is an important part of the fabric of what humanity is and what can be. And he asks, and these are his words, what's reasonable? Well, more importantly, what's a reasonable adjustment? He says, a reasonable adjustment is a process whereby an employer figures out what it is they can do to help a disabled person get into work, be at work, remain at work, or manage work. There's so many different ways that you can do that now to help a disabled person who might have just like you become just disabled, not to bin them and get them out your workplace. It's going to cost you 33% of their salary, and you've already given them loads of knowledge. What are you doing? Sorry. It just doesn't make any financial sense to me. It also is ridiculous. It's also against the law. I'm not going to go on. Anyway, I believe there's so many things we can do, and then we can help each other feel belonging and be part of the workplace rather than having to get new people in. Look, and you can do great things. It's not about doing great things, but it is great. Yeah, because when people do it, it's great. Sorry, I still have to kind of honour it a bit. When people do it, it's a surprise to me. So you've listened patiently to this next installment, and that's what it is, of belonging in business. We've been live all over the place, and eventually I'll learn to interact with you live and remember that the camera's there. I just can't multitask as well as I'd like yet. So let's start this fantastic space with some questions about belonging. There's not many, and you might have your own, and say what you like because you're in this space and it's yours, not mine, it's ours. Do you feel you can turn up at work, right? And what are the very real barriers? Because I think there's bloody millions, for me anyway. Not for me personally, but I just can see loads of them. The fears, right? Because it's scary, I think. What your experiences, maybe the possibilities, or do you know? So let's go. As Jurgen Donaldson would say, let's go. That's what he did. Let's find out together. So, yeah, thanks for being here. I feel, oh, I'm really sorry. I'm bringing people up, but I didn't even see they were there. Because where did you go? How did that happen? Come up. Nobody's in any order. Good afternoon, good morning. I mean, everybody, it's wonderful to have you here. So, I've been Mandy-Jayne. I've been talking about belonging, and I think that what I'm saying is we need to be authentic, show up as ourselves, and learn to be confident in that, and ask for what we need. And it's okay, and we shouldn't have to feel that sense of shame when we say it. And then maybe we'll stop sacking people and keep people on instead, and make the best of what we've got. It's a bit crazy to me. What do you reckon? Anybody? Christian, were you there? Yeah. Is it you? I can't do this thing yet. Morning.
I'm there. Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, morning. Yeah, as normal picture for what you say, follow that. But hey, I shall attempt to. First of all, I'm sorry to hear about you.
Crap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crap.
Yeah, and it, but about belonging, it makes such a difference. It's so important. I mean, in any group, in any, everybody, a lot of people, my stories, they know my, what, I wasn't able to get sort of into, get into any sort of employment properly because, people sort of look at you and they want to do, oh, we can't do that. And they don't want to take the time. They don't want to take the time to work out, or it's too much trouble, to be honest with you. And not until I met you.
I find it fun.
Yeah?
I find it fun.
Yeah,
I find it fun.
You could set it up as a sort of almost like people go on quiz shows. What can we do?
We could have an access to work quiz. We could get the DWP employees on and pitch them against each other like opportunity. No, not opportunity knocks. That's the other one where they batter each other with plastic things. I mean that thing about questions. I can't remember. Open University. That one. Challenge. That's it. Not opportunity challenge. Sorry. I shouldn't think about access to work employees like that because they're all adorable. They're all just a big little cog in a massive wheel of incompetence. But individually, they're not incompetent. You just can't be competent in an incompetent system, can you? It's just not possible. That's enough now, MJ. I'm going to be a civil servant. Shut up. I know. It's all right. I forgot I was on screen as well. Just laid back and I'm like, oh, good night, everyone. I shouldn't be that psychologically safe, to be honest.
Lost my thread there. But if we do feel, as you say, psychologically safe at work and with the people we work with, which I certainly do, it makes it, it increases productivity, it increases, it makes the business work better, it makes everything. I mean, the people we work together with, we've got each other's back, we're always, we'll do things late at night that need to because, there's no sort of... It's
against the status quo, right? It's against it. Nobody agrees with it, and you'll know that I only ever work 9 to 5, right? Because clearly it's not 9 o'clock yet, and it's Saturday. I'm lying.
You work 9 to 5. It's just that the 9 started several years ago. And
I do stop. I am not glorifying working too hard. I'm not. Because we've got to have balance. But having enthusiasm, that's not a bad thing. Enthusiasm, it's the thing that motivates things. I think it's why you've got such a fantastic space at home now. I mean, I'm not sharing too much, am I?
Yeah.
But you've got a workspace, you've got all the mods, and it's been an honour watching you create that, craft that, create your identity. It's just incredible. I love it. How did you? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not plugging. I'm just saying you do work with me, don't you?
Yeah.
And maybe I'm plugging gratuitously. Maybe I'm saying if you fancy working with accessibility partners, you can get in touch. I feel terrible about it. I feel like I shouldn't. But yeah, how am I going to get amazing people come for amazing things if they don't look to see if they want to work with amazing people like us? And help other people like you and listen to your story, because your story is powerful, Christian, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
You
I
never,
have got,
you know,
yeah, where I've come from.
yeah, it is powerful. So I think we should have a
I've
Christian
got,
week. What do you reckon? Can we have a Christian week? Can we have a Christian week?
make sure they don't start with a K, otherwise it
Well, I think just like one Saturday we should hear your story, right? I do. I really think we should.
yeah.
I do. Thank you.
Yeah,
And there's
I
somebody
don't
else that I
mind.
need all the stories from. There's somebody else. Thank you, Christian. I think we should belong as well. And I think we're trying to foster that, which is why I'm so passionate and why I've forgotten I've got a camera on again. I'm not behaving, Christian. You're gonna have to put me in line. Martin, are you there? He's not there.
Yeah,
Morning.
yeah. Good morning.
It's rubbish, isn't it, about Jurgen? It's pants. Did you know Jurgen?
I didn't know Jurgen. Look, sorry for your loss.
Yes.
His spirit is alive.
Oh, absolutely. Everywhere. He's amazing. Amazing. We all have our time, right?
We all have our time, and we don't always appreciate those moments. You know, one thing we can't get back is time. So we can invest in time and the relationships that we have, the relationships that we hold dear, doing things that matter to us rather than it's always the grind. It's if you don't enjoy your job, if you can find something that you enjoy and it gives you the lifestyle that you want. And I've spent too many years worrying and stressing at work rather than enjoying the work I do. And that was a tough life lesson to learn. So the belonging for me starts from within. It's having the courage to try and do things that you enjoy. And we don't always get there.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think it's really challenging. I've had to practice relaxing for real. I've had to put myself in a hotel where I didn't have anything except crayons and my laptop, and I had to bar myself from responding to people so that I actually took time off. I've had to practice it. It's been an art form for me, learning to paint and draw and write poetry and make flower arrangements and do all those things. Ride a bike. Go on a bike, just exercise, just giving me any time to exercise. This is a journey I've gone on, right? And I killed myself, Martin. I literally killed myself for everybody else. I killed myself because I didn't think we could get fast enough, quick enough for my kids to be included. So I was really rushing. I was grasping. I was desperate. I wanted inclusion to be here. I wanted a life that we could just access everything. I wanted to fix it. Well, you can't fix it because it's not fixable. So this time, since I came back, literally, now it has to be about what I can do in my small corner, and then lighting up the enthuse of other people so that they can shine in their corner like Christian is so shiny, right? That has to be what it's about. It has to be about that lived experience. It has to be about emancipating people out of their spaces, out of where they feel they aren't best valued. Just want people to be seen and heard. And then when I can see everybody in society that reflects the people that I know and love and trust, and I know what experience they've had, and there's plenty of them, and I've got experiences of me out there, it won't be so scary. I find it really scary to go out because there's hardly any of me. It's like going out as a one thing of the species. It's hard for me. Maybe other people don't feel like that, but I do. I feel, I feel like a pain in the ass all the time, which is probably how I show up because that's how I feel. Maybe I don't show it. Matt, do I show it? And what about belonging? Does it matter? I know it does to you and your business. Your business is all about belonging. Sorry, I'm speaking for you. I shouldn't do that.
You can speak for me. That's good. If you can speak for me, then I don't need to say anything.
I need to hear you.
Sit here and listen to me through you.
Well, I think we're connected, right? So I think we're intrinsically connected. So I hear me through you too. I hear because that's resonating for me, Matt. Anyway.
Well, when you speak, it's really interesting because when you speak, I feel you. I don't just hear you. there's a feeling, there's a depth, there's a connection. I don't know where you are right now in the world. You don't know where I am right now in the world, but that's irrelevant because we're in the world.
Absolutely.
We're part of the universe. We're part of what makes it happen. And our strength together is aligning because it's meant to. And I just love that, and I embrace that, I truly embrace that. And I love it in this space that you've created. This morning, I just want to stop and, I've been spending some time thinking whilst you've been speaking about Jürgen, because I spent a lot of time on Clubhouse with him through various rooms alongside Pete, and really got to know him and respected him as an individual for what he stood for and what he will continue to stand for throughout the world. So just, thinking of him and his family and those that love him, because, I'm shocked. I couldn't believe it.
He met his lady on Clubhouse,
I know.
And they were, I mean, but the happiness, I mean, honest, you've never seen two people more in love, right? Ever. Like, honest, it was just so beautiful. And I know it's cut short, but God, people dream of that their entire life, right? Just amazing.
Absolutely.
I just celebrate everything he is.
Isn't it interesting? Your entire life, but your entire life really is whatever your life is. And no one knows because it's written somewhere, but we no idea. And you working alongside you, being present for so long, there's so much what you spoke about, and there's so many things on the back of that we could share. And I think there's so many rooms on the back of what you said, because conversations could open up for long periods of time, right? But, for me, when I work alongside you, this is what comes to my mind. You strengthen my plan B, and you really help me value my plan A. What do I mean by that? Well, I live my plan B because I believe we're all in beta mode. We should all be in beta mode because we are testing everything that we do. Only the things that we've done before can we say we've done before. But really and truthfully, everything new and everything we revisit again, it's always approached in a test mode, because it's never really certain that it's going to end up the way we wanted it to. But plan A for me is the realization that I could lose my eyesight permanently to a point where I cannot see, although I am very aware of my deterioration through my eyes. I am 53. Some people would say, well, you've worn them out, whatever. What have you been looking at? I don't know. Hey, everybody's wearing glasses these days. Do we notice that? The younger generation coming through. But the way I see it is, I live with a certain amount of paranoia. And you said earlier on, you was talking about your brother, and his words of advice, his wisdom was, ask someone how they are. And then ask them again, and really keep asking them. Asking them with this understanding that you really want the truth, because the truth lies lower beneath the layers of all the layers that we've built up over time, because that's just how we've been conditioned. That's how, I just went on a course today and I learned some amazing things, and here's the bookwork that I've learned, and within a week it's now pile at the bottom of your pile, so there's 6 things above it, and before you know it, there's 12 things on top of it, and then you forgot you actually went on a course and you did some great work. And the layers of real truth in us is buried, compounded deep within us. And I ask people that we employ on a regular basis, how are you? How are you doing? And the reason why I ask is because it opens up their space. But the thing is, I don't just settle for once or twice. When I was younger, I used to ask this question a lot, and I do believe it was driven more through paranoia, because I was worried about what people thought of me when I was a lot younger. So I would ask people, you all right? You all right? You all right? You all right? That's the way I would ask it. You all right? I didn't really understand, how are you? How are you? How are you doing? Really, I didn't understand that back then, but I was really curious to find out what people were thinking, because I can't work it out. I can't see inside your mind. So it's really important for me to find out, whether it's my wife, whether it's our children, and God help me, if I hadn't have asked our children, where would one of them be right now? Not with us, that's for sure. But spending that time asking people, how are you? It's really important to give them that space. And me, my partner, the opportunity, and other team members, the opportunity to be able to reach out and give people comfort, love, the direction we come from. In our business, we come from a direction of love. And I was told, get over yourself, you're paranoid, you can't treat people like that. This is years ago. But then the CEO of Tesco's says he lives with a certain amount of paranoia. And I love that, because so do I. Because it keeps me on my plan B and the realization of plan A. And everybody in the world is living a life identically to mine. Maybe not the same choices, but the way we move through the world, the way we think through the world, the way we feel through the world, we're all experiencing those human needs. 6 of them, I do believe. So there we go. It's all about recognizing that everybody has a place and everybody needs the space. Because before COVID, I'm going to go back 7 years ago, before Brexit, the thing that's really causing an issue right now, but it's completely forgotten by a lot, right?
By the businesses that have gone down.
40, we employed over 40 people. We've now got 11. We've got 11 of the best and got rid of just under 30 of the worst. 30 of the worst, right? Some of them were really, really good. But what happened was we all got disabled, right? We was all given disability rights in COVID because we was told to stop. And in that space, everybody was left alone. And then when the world opened back up, we got what we got, and we have to adapt fast. I'm still in business, I'm still loving, I'm still caring, I'm still showing, I'm still growing. And thanks to people like yourself, MJ, I love the fact that you're showing up the way you do. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you. I feel incredibly blessed through this space, right? And I expect that all of my moments are like that they're spent in my favor, because actually, what else is there? And there's lots of people here that have helped me do that. Naja's, are you there? Thank you for your patience.
Hi.
Hello. Good morning, my love.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm aware that I'm quite new to this.
Well, just saying hello is great. Yeah, but this disabled malarkey. You are, aren't you?
I am using the word.
Yeah, disabled malarkey.
The word quite comfortably.
Well done.
Quite comfortably as an excuse excuse, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm still in that space of grieving something I lost. And actually something you said a minute ago touched me. So all along as you've been speaking, I've been thinking, where do I stand with all this? And I feel like for me, the sense of belonging possibly was never actually there fully. I mean, I have had it I've been in and out of groups all my life, various things I've joined, clubs I've joined, stuff I've done. So I know what it feels like to belong, but like in terms of my identity or my sense of self, I've moved around a lot in the world. So have had the rug pulled out from under me quite a lot in my life. And, so safety, I guess a sense of belonging and things like that have been questioned or in my mind. So I feel like my biggest block is me, whether or not I'm disabled, just that. I think something Matt or Martin may have said also resonated around us, that we can get in our own way. So it's our own shame, it's our own kind of excuses or wish to be better. I feel like at the moment I am actually working from home on a laptop doing agency work full time with MS, and I belong to. Gosh, I've got so much to say. I walk around the corner from me to a centre called the Shawcott Centre in Gloucester, and they are beautiful. They work with people with neurological issues, and I go there and I feel a sense of belonging. I'm part of that membership. I'm part of that group, and we all have different things going on. No one's the same. We're all unique, etc. And I used to avoid that place. I used to think, I don't really want to mingle with people. It's almost like I don't want to. Ignorance is bliss. The less I know about this condition, the better, etc.
Nobody wants to feel decay, do they?
No. But I go there and I feel empowered. I feel like, wow, that's a great tip. Hey, did you know you can do this? And, you know, we're sharing, we're all in there, you know, and the people say, did you walk? I'm like, yeah, I walked, you know, and I'm there in my walker. Something you said, MJ, because I'll come back to what you said that resonated with me. You said, I don't belong. When I'm out on the streets and I look around, I'm the only one. And it's like that in my neighborhood. I think, wow, I'm the only one with a walker. And yet I make a point of sort of saying hello to everyone I pass, you know. I never used to say hello to people.
No, neither did I.
And suddenly I'm like, I want them to know me, and I want to feel safe, and I want to know that if anyone assaulted me in the streets or whatever,
let them know you were there.
they might run out of their door and go, I know that.
Why do you think I've got purple eye, love?
It's that kind of thing. I guess I'm just finding my way. And I do feel like working 5 days a week full time is crazy, and I don't really want to be doing it deep down. But you know, I was in hospital not so long ago, and the big question in my family was, what's happened to that income stream? You need to work. So the first thing I did when I got out of hospital was to be determined to find that job, and I found one within a month. And I shouldn't really have been working a month out of hospital, but I did. You know, those were the times when I was just trying not to fall over in the house, and it was damage limitation.
Yeah.
You know, how can I pick myself up off the floor when no one's around? Yeah.
I'm grateful you're here.
And so here I'm a lot better now. But I don't. The thing with MS is you never know how far you can heal after a relapse. How good is your? Oh gosh, I have so much to say. Sorry, so much to say. I went to a neurophysio appointment recently, and one of the things she was saying to me is, you know, can you give me a goal? What's your goal? I said, I want to be the best I can be, right? I want to heal as much as I can possibly heal, whatever that is. And she said, well, that's not a goal. I just went, what?
She's saying it's an overarching identity, isn't she? She's saying, break it down.
Yeah, exactly.
I want you to desire to wipe your own bum, MJ.
What's your first stepping stone? And then I said, okay, I want to be able to get on my e-bike again. I'd already graduated not so long ago. This was before hospital last year. So it was a couple of years ago. I got an e-bike. It was actually, it may have even been last year that I got it. It wasn't that long ago. Amazing. So it was pretty new to me. And I graduated from cycling normally to an e-bike. I thought, okay, great. You know, this is independence. I can go door to door. I don't have to think about parking lots and walking from a car park to the nearest toilet, etc. Anyway, and then after hospital, no chance. I can't even get the bike out the door. In fact, I managed to get out the door and then fell over. But long story. I'm trying to work out what I can do, what I want to do. I mentioned the e-bike to her, by the way, and she said, oh, that's also not a goal. Really? It's almost like she's trying to apologize. She was apologizing for me that I might never get to that point. You might have to forget the e-bike. And I'm thinking, well, you know, that's your opinion, mate.
Yeah, well,
but there we go.
You set your own goals.
I'm trying to, just trying
set
to
them with a
world of negativity all around me, including me. I'm the worst. Okay, I'm the biggest culprit.
We are, but myself. You're doing good things about that, aren't you? You reached out. You're doing really good things about that. You're on a process. I know it's not an easy one, but it's one that will grow.
Thanks to someone at the Dog Centre talked about you. She said, "No, I just need to get in touch with MJ. That's the last thing to do. That you have to find MJ." Right.
Well,
who's this MJ?
She's just some woman that does this, getting things from. Anyway, I just think I turn up unapologetically me most of the time, and I try and do that because actually it's really hard to do that. I think if I don't go first, I can't expect my clients to turn up, right? I can't expect my friends to turn up. I can't expect my family to turn up. I can't expect anything to happen, really. Really, that's how I feel anyway. So it's purely selfish. I assure you. Thank you, Nadia.
I think that sense of belonging is a big question for me. I feel like I'm usually the outsider, and I always have been, even way before.
I think that's why it needs saying and talking about. I think it's hard for people to say it. I think they find it hard.
I'm comfortable with being the outsider. I don't know what real belonging actually feels.
It's funny, isn't it? When your perspective is always that you've always been othered, You've always been othered
Yeah.
for some reason. You don't know why, but you know that's how you feel. I wonder if everyone feels like that. And I question that. And I think it does come from a place of knowing that we're, I don't know, differently able. It's a terrible phrase people say. But for me, it means something, because I can take that social model of disability and say, I'm disabled. I'm disabled and I'm comfortable with saying it. But I also think to myself, who disarms first? Because they're not going to, when I talk about them, when there's a them and us, when there isn't really, who's going to say, actually, it's not okay for you not to do this, and for people to be comfortable and not feel like people are being confrontational, or that you're in a small charity like many of my clients who don't want to say what they need for fear of raping the purse, when actually it's free and the employer can get the money back, and nobody knows, and they're too frightened to ask, and they feel uncomfortable, and nobody can get over the awkward, right?
Well, that's I'm in that state with my timesheet, for example. I mean, like you were saying, we work nights. Sometimes I do that. Like I'll go to the shock center, I'll do my therapies or whatever, and then I'll come home, and sometimes I'm crashed out. Mm-hmm. So you know, my 1 hour lunch break supposedly becomes a 4.5 hour.
Well,
whatever.
But then you also do more in the time you're there, usually. I would imagine.
What I'm saying is, I'm sorry.
I would imagine you do more when you do work than other people. I would imagine your productivity is. Yeah.
I reckon my productivity is way higher than I was when I was actually working in an office, because you stood by the photocopier having chats, whatever, going for cups of tea, this, that, and the other, going for a walk.
Yeah.
Occasionally with your colleagues. I mean, it's all productive time, of course.
Yeah, but you're encouraged to do that. When you're on your own, you get hyper-focused, I think.
I feel like at home, what I'm doing now is I'm tacking on more time at the end of the day than I would ever have done. It's like, I feel guilty for not filling in my timesheet.
Funny, isn't it?
As just that day. No, I have to add on this, and so on.
They've done a great job of making this the means of production. But they've done it so that we live and work at home. We don't leave the houses. We don't use our cars. The government. I know you do it as well.
I do it.
But we're in that mindset, right? You need to come to Mindset Mondays with Pete, I tell you. You want to follow me on LinkedIn and be there on Monday.
I'm frightened.
I know.
To my manager, fully honest, and he's pretty understanding, actually.
Yeah.
And I know I could tell him, and I'm still
just feels shameful, doesn't it? It feels like you're expecting beyond the pale, and you're not. So I hope we can work on that. I really do.
I'm expecting a lot of myself, I think.
You are. You are.
Thank you for listening.
It's all right. I love you very much. Marie, hello. Good morning, my love. Wow, what conversation, eh?
Oh, yeah. Really, really, really powerful. I was sitting here thinking about this, really thinking about like my lived experience in work and sense of belonging. I couldn't belong anywhere until I started to belong to myself anyway. Like, it didn't matter how understanding my bosses were or my employees. It just didn't matter. And I don't feel it would have mattered until I started to really foster that sense of belonging within myself, because I was able to handle situations just so differently once I started to foster that within myself. But this is this isn't lip service, is it, MJ? Like, this is tackling the raw roots of stuff. And I think quite often about the indoctrination of business and productivity and meeting targets and goals and aims and all of this stuff, financial, all of the stuff that's behind a lot of the decisions that are made, let's be real. And it's not easy, right? Because me and you have done it. We've had to have those really heartfelt, deep-rooted conversations where it can feel in the moment like it's chaos and like things are falling apart. And in actuality, you don't realise until months down the line is what you're actually fostering is a sense of belonging and trust and productivity and authenticity. And that I think people come to the table with a very different perspective when you've got that. But it's not easy, right? And I think about like these big corporate business meetings. Like, what if you were in a big corporate business meeting and you sat there and said, listen, someone's just passed away. I'm just not coping well. How those conversations are avoided at every beck and call, because people don't want to deal with the grassroots of things, do they? Because just maybe it uncovers a layer of stuff that's not working in business that quite often is put to the wayside, shall we say. And I think that when we start addressing the core of things, whether that's people's individual humanity, whether that's productivity, whether that's goals, aims, money making, I think when we go into the core of it, is what it uncovers is truth. And I don't think that truth can ever be thwarted. That's just my personal belief. And I think that a lot of the layers of what can feel like dysfunctionality is actually a derivative of not directly voicing what's actually going on here. And it's quite interesting, isn't it? Like this notion of fear around productivity and all of that, because we all have it. Like I've had it with you, where I've been scared to come to you and say, look, I'm struggling. Like, and we've had to, and it's been a process that we've had to work through over a period of time. But you know, I think to myself, I often moving forward in business, I always think to myself, what's the aim of this? What is the actual aim of this? Because it's never really to shoot someone down, you know, and there's no greater fear than if you're going to a boss or you're going to management of any form and you feel like you're going to be shot down in flames, or you're going to be shamed, or you're going to be judged, or you're going to be penalised for bringing your authenticity to the table. Because you can guarantee the one thing, whether the employers were consciously aware at the time or not, you can guarantee one thing, is that that employee is going to become less productive, and slowly they're going to exit out of the building. And people don't want to look at that stuff. You know, it's rife in health and social care, absolutely rife in health and social care, because it's all about targets and numbers and not about the human being.
Thank you, Marie. I have to tell you, there's authentic for you. And you're right. You know, when I think about what the outcome is Stu getting his voice, right? One of them. Just as I know that's out there public, so I can say that. One of my outcomes is Stu getting his voice. The other outcome I want is Trey getting his access to work in place after all those bloody months. That's another one. You getting all of those things, right? Just all of it. All the things that we've talked about. All the things that are happening, all the things that we've facilitated, even access to work going from 14 months to 14 weeks. They've got a delay, by the way, an extra 4 weeks. So we're looking at 18, hang on, 12 and 4, 16 weeks response for those that are on. So we're going to have to move everything by 4 weeks, and people won't be able to complain for 16 weeks yet. So it's getting worse because people are finding out about it. It's a juxtaposition, isn't it? Trey, how are you? Good morning. We're at 9 o'clock, but I think we're doing well. You're
Good
no
morning.
rush.
Can
Good
you hear
morning.
me?
We can. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, MJ. Good morning, everyone. I just want to say it's an honour and a privilege to be here. Belonging in business. Yeah. I'm going to say a couple of things now. Based on what Marie said about health and social care, I think a lot of us here have our own businesses, but we've also been exposed to other businesses where people have been in management positions. I think the reality of it is that in a lot of situations, both in health and social care and in business, a lot of the people who are in the positions of management are the most inappropriate people to be there. Why are they inappropriate? Because they value their power, they value their personal sense of importance, and they value a perceived way of doing things more than they value caring about human beings and caring about the employees that they are there to look after and in many cases lead. Now, how do I feel about belonging in business when it comes to myself? I feel I had a massive sense of imposter syndrome for a long while. You know, I don't belong here. This isn't me. All these people, no. This is silly. It's all middle class. It's all crazy. It's all this. It's all that. But what I had to do is focus on why I was there. Now, in my situation, I'm a musician, a music technologist, and an access technologist, product tester. Those are the things that I do. I had to think, you know what? Regardless of what anyone else is doing or where anyone else is at, I'm here because at the end of the day,
two things. I enjoy what I do, and I need to do this human construct thing called money. And that's why I'm here. And I'm going to focus on that, and I'm going to do what I enjoy in the way that I enjoy it. And also, I see on the stage, we have a branding person, Nargis. So I'm going to say one thing. Disability is a minority group. We need to develop a sense of cool. And that's what MJ does every day. Yeah, developing a sense of cool, making disability cool for people to interact with. Because as this disability culture, we don't have a sense of cool. If you look at a lot of the disability aids that are there to help us, they're not made in a stylish way, for example. Yeah?
Completely.
So I think that's something that businesses need to work on. Belonging in business, like Marie said, you've got to belong to yourself first, and that's the hardest journey. Yeah? The hardest journey is developing your own positivity for yourself. And I feel that when you do that, you help others. And you're in a position more to help others as well. Yeah? Because that sense of not belonging and having a disability and the way businesses are, it's nothing to be ashamed of on an individual level. Nothing to be ashamed of, because we all get times when we don't belong. We all get times when we're not confident. We all get times when, we have a disability and we feel like, it's not working today, or I can't do it today, or nah, man, and I think it's important to just hold that space with yourself and just like, well, this is what's happening now. It's not going to be forever. Yeah, and I will also say before I stop speaking and let people feed back to what I'm saying. Yo, my condolences for Jurgen. He was a good brother. He was a good brother. He was a good man, and big loss. But his works will continue on with other people's memories of him. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and everyone who wants to remember him, they will remember him. The best way to remember people, I believe, is to be the kind of person they would want you to be and keep living the kind of life you want to live. Yeah?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very wise words. You've thank you. I like the way you show up, right? Who would like to? Does somebody want to? Matt? There's somebody, I don't know who. Did somebody have mic? I've just wiping my tears, sorry. Flipping heck. Thank you, Trey. The way you show up in the world helps me show up in the world. It helps me show up in the world and be okay with being scared. So thanks. Because I get scared too, all the time.
We all get scared, and I think one of the things that we have to understand about business, because this is what this room is about, right? Belonging in business, yeah, that's the title.
That's it.
A lot of the business standards, a lot of the social standards around corporate culture have been set by people in a particular strata of society. So they have money, they have power, they have influence, they're from a certain background. The problem with a lot of that is what they've done in their professional lives is a lot of emotional masking. And what I mean by emotional masking, good morning, how are you? They don't really mean good morning.
Oh,
They don't really mean how are you. They're just greeting you because they have to say something. Right?
Nice.
I'm fine, thank you. They don't really mean they're fine. They're just responding because that's what you do.
That's just
And I think that we've got to a point in business now where the whole thing is so ungenuine and so insincere that people have actually lost the belief in people have lost the belief in this key essential thing, which is doing things they enjoy and getting things back from it. And the whole corporate culture needs to change. It needs to change because, like Matt Rowden said just now, asking people how we are should be a genuine thing. And it's something that we all practice here, Yeah, we all practice it. And MJ, I hear you practice it, with clients and myself. And when we do the coaching, and, I practice it with people. And I think that we've lost that sense of genuineness in corporate culture. Yeah, and I think the younger people now, the generation below me, so I'm 34, there's other people that are a few years younger, in their 20s, in their early 20s, they're now demanding the sense of authenticity.
And a lot of older people, they can't handle it. They can't handle it because you've got to remember a lot of these older people where they're like, oh yeah, I was a hippie back in the day, I did this, I did that, did the other. Okay, that's fine. And then you went into business and you forgot the values of human connection which you espoused. And then what happens is when people actually challenge them, like, well, what you're saying, if you've got a prejudice view, for example, this isn't human connection, they get upset about it because they're being challenged. But we need less upset and more listening. Because if you listen, you say, look, it's not good enough to stereotype people constantly. It's not good enough to exclude people constantly, yeah? You know?
It's not a difficult concept, is it, when you just break it down?
I'm speaking as someone who was 4 months premature and died 142 times.
I know you beat me.
And no one thought I'd make it.
I know. You're here. And look at the likelihood of you being here and how flipping fantastic is it that you ever got here, and thank the Lord that you did. And oh my God, how the fabric of humanity would not exist just the same way without you. Or me. You are amazing. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I mean, I just feel every day that everything I achieve, because I was one of these people where I missed out on a lot of formative experiences in my early teenagers, as a lot of disabled people did. But I found the more success I had, the less I experienced that pain.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to redefine what is success for disabled people, because a lot of disabled people run in circles because they get almost socialized to things that, like, oh yeah, I'm mending a car. I'm mending 3 cars for free. I'm a car mechanic. It's like, well, yeah, but you could be a car mechanic in a car mechanic way, and that we're not socialized to work or think or dream or even live properly. Yeah, and we need to socialize ourselves to do these things because no one's going to do it for us. Not yet. They will when they're starting to, but we have to regard ourselves as worthy in the world.
You're so worthy. We're worthy, but you help me feel more than worthy, right? Because every day when you share with me your experience of being you, I thank God I'm me and I'm not you. That sounds horrendous, but also I celebrate the fact that we both have to stop, because you have to wait around everywhere, right? I'm not being funny, but you do. And I have to wait around everywhere for lifts and people and stupid ramps and idiots and, I mean, nice people, but all the time.
I think it sounds horrendous.
And you're really, really patient, and I'm not. So I learned from you as you just stand around and let people just leave you around for hours and hours.
All that happens if you're not patient, all that happens if you don't wait, if you get angry, you can get upset. Okay,
You get
what's going to happen is that you're going to be more upset with yourself.
You get poorly.
People around you aren't necessarily going to realise, what they're doing. And all that's going to happen is that you're going to hurt yourself, you're going to hurt others. The outcome won't happen of what you're trying to do, and everyone's more upset at the end of the day. So there's no point in half the things people stress about. It's not even worth it.
Do you know what I love? Do you know what I love about coaching? It's the fact that I do it so I learn. Right? People are like, "Why do you go to university?" I'm like, "Well, so that why do you teach? Well, so I can learn. Why do you want to learn? Because I love learning." So in a coaching situation, I can share my experience, and you share yours, and I think we've just ideally showcased how everything I know and everything you know melds together in some sort of fantastic, like, we work better together, right?
Well, we are the sum total of each other's experiences, and this is why things like LinkedIn, for example, things like Clubhouse, things like conferences, seminars, Baswa, for example, they're great things because you come together, you learn, I'll be honest, I was at an event the other week, and I was invited to, the event was a synthesizer exhibition on new technology. I was invited to a pre-party for manufacturers before. And I learned so much from the guys I was talking to, and they learned so much from me. And it was a really valuable sharing of experiences. And in business now particularly, we've lost that human element. We've lost sharing of experiences. Oh, did you do that target? Yes, to the target. Okay, move on.
you know.
We don't celebrate enough, do we? We don't celebrate enough, and we don't hold up innovation as something to celebrate. We hold up productivity, and innovation doesn't necessarily look productive in the first stages.
It's interesting you say that, because I'm going to say we don't hold up innovation at the grassroots level as something to celebrate. So an example is this: Apple will make a new iPhone. Oh, look at the features on the new iPhone, right? You'll get somebody, for example, in, I don't know, India or Africa, or maybe even the UK, somewhere in Manchester, for example, and they've made a new program to help disabled people, or they've made a program to help water quality, right? And it's open source, it's free, they give it away, and they're not supported. No one's running around trying to get their product. No one's running around trying to help them. You know, no one's there, you know, camping out beside their house for the product launch. But yet, a big company in Silicon Valley, oh, here we go. It's amazing, and that's, to me, that's crazy. That's mad, because innovation can come from anywhere. And we need innovation so badly, especially in the disability space, especially. And the boys that do the Oreos are a wonderful example.
Oh. And yesterday I was speaking to somebody that did sex toys on the internet over COVID, and realised that there was a massive dearth of sex education and experiences for disabled people and opportunities. So this guy also knows some of the organisations that you and I belonged to, and how he then had to, he said it's just a completely blank space. So he's closed his online shop because he can't compete with Love Honey, and his stuff wasn't just like Love Honey, it was specifically for disabled people. He developed things, he speaks for the manufacturers, he exhibits for the manufacturers, he speaks for them, he exhibits the products. I don't know how you do that, but you know, I would imagine it's using your nose, etc. But he educates now in spaces where people don't talk about disability sex or disabled sex or the sexual experience of disabled people who can't move. And he said, you know, there's no voice there. And I said, you know, thank God you're coming into business. And I'm honoured to be able to walk alongside him. What an honour.
I want to be completely, I'm going to say something completely, really, to be honest with you, honest for this space, okay?
Yeah.
Society, okay?
Yeah.
Society, everything from the family to the school to the social worker to any professional, has and continues to completely and utterly ruin, completely and utterly devastate the sexuality of disabled people.
Yeah.
And we haven't even begun to address this yet. And I'll tell you what, it needs addressing. It's criminal.
It is.
You can't. How can you ruin the sexuality of a whole minority group? And
You infantilize them. You infantilize them. You repeatedly infantilize them.
The problem is that a lot of disability discrimination is hidden because a lot of people say, "Oh, they're keeping them safe." But this is rubbish. You can't expect to develop fully fledged humans and ruin their sexuality.
Nope.
Absolutely devastate their. No. And I was educated in special schools for a long time. 25 years I was inside, so I know what that's like.
I hear that language.
It's not nice.
Inside.
It's not fun.
Inside.
It's not fun. And you know.
Locked out. Inside, locked out. There's just been a locked out report in Wales. Locked out of everywhere, right? Even locked out of becoming a fully fledged human being, right? Ridiculous.
You're expected, this is what really does my head in, to be grateful for this. You're expected to have gratitude for people's attitude. I don't have gratitude for that. Look, you want to come and you want to ruin my sexuality, I'm going to be grateful for that. Why would I be grateful for that? It doesn't make no sense.
Thank you for being so honest.
But if you want to come now, you want to help me, you want to uplift me, you want to give me advice to help me and be constructive.
Have a conversation.
Say, all right, here's what you want to do. How do we do it safely? I'm going to say to you, thank you for that. Yeah, that's a really good thing that you've done, you know.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you're saying there.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when it comes to disability, they love to talk about the problems. They love to talk about how it makes them feel. Yeah, they love to talk about how it makes them feel. But when it comes to the solutions, they don't fucking talk about the solutions. It ain't even there. And this is in a business context as well. And yes, it does link back, because we have to remember, what your man's in there, sexuality, sex toys, that's a business, that's an industry.
That's right.
Yeah, worth quite a bit.
worth quite a bit. I don't have the statistics because I don't work for Ann Summers,
No,
but it's worth quite a bit.
it is.
And the fact that disabled people are shut out is a complete travesty.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Trehan,
Yes.
what sort of technology do you get involved in? Sorry, MJ.
No, don't apologise. It's great to hear you.
Is that Martin?
No, it's Chris.
Sorry,
Who's speaking?
Chris.
Okay, so I am involved with. I'm currently testing music technology products. I test websites. I test any sort of software technology that people want to test. Really, I'm pretty open, to be honest.
Cool. Okay, so you offer a testing service.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, just wanted to know. It's just I'm in tech myself, so we should probably connect. Sorry.
Yeah, well, feel free to drop me a message on here.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. People, don't apologise. Make those friends. Isn't that belonging? I thought we were talking about belonging. Well done.
Brilliant. Sorry, MJ.
Don't apologise. No, don't. It's fine. That's what it's all about. I just think Trey speaks so much truth, right? I feel that belonging because I feel the authenticity, and that's what I get out of that interaction always, is the fact that you show up completely as yourself, and that's really helpful in any coaching relationship, because then I know where you want to go, right? And then we go there, even though it's never a straight path. We know we're always moving forward, right? Don't we? Have you got anything else you need to say, Trey? You're on mic. Are you all right? Can you hear me? Now I don't know who's next. It might even be Chris. Somebody direct me. Is it Jew? Is it Chris? Because Jew, you've been back and forth. I think it's Chris. Chris, have you got anything to add? We've been here longer than I envisaged, but that's fine.
Time's the room running to, MJ?
You what, my love?
What time's the room running to?
Well, it was till 9 o'clock, but I'm fine with it. You're last, I think. So last but not least by any terms. And if anyone wants to come up, they're welcome, and then I'll give a summary. So what do you reckon? We're here? I don't know whether we're here.
To be honest with you, I've just taken the dog for a walk, and
Good. That's all right. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for being here, and thanks for coming up. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. If you're busy, there's no problem. Listen, you've been amazing, and it's gone on longer than I envisaged. But I think we've started a really important conversation. I think that this conversation is just even at the very beginning of its birth, and the fact that we're fostering inclusion, we're fostering belonging, we're fostering that sense of everyone being served at the table is fantastic. And just get in touch if you're in a business that you don't know what to do and how to do it. Trey, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, you're a mate. I didn't know whether you wanted to say something. No, can't hear you now. Try again. I didn't hear you. There you go, Christian.
Is Trey going to say something or what?
Don't mind. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that, we're talking about how to foster belonging, and for about an hour and a half, I think what we've done is foster belonging. I think if anybody wants to know how you foster belonging, how you in business in any way, just come and talk to us. Just come and listen to us, because the belonging of everybody on this stage, I know everybody pretty much on this stage, and as personal friends, and that's belonging. That's belonging is the fact that we can turn up on a Saturday morning on LinkedIn and just chat to each other like we do. So if anybody wants to know the secret of belonging in business or in it's here. That's what I say.
I completely agree. See, I feel that sense of belonging right here, right now. I am presently capable of feeling connected to other people. That's a beautiful feeling for me, and it's one that I aim to foster more and more and more in my life, in every moment, so that I'm living in a life that's for me. And there's certain ways that I need to show up for myself for that to be the case, and that sometimes doesn't involve doing things that escape me from my feelings, but actually lead me into those feelings. But it's taken a lot of therapy, a lot of time, a lot of space, a lot of different modalities, drawing, journaling, therapy, therapeutic training, stuffing envelopes, for everything from repetitive action that bored the hell out of me to get, some money in return to be able to foster my future, to the going to university and writing theses. Everything has helped me become. But it's been such a long journey. And when I think back to the girl that went into therapy after my dad was run over, and I unplugged him, and I went into psychiatric hospital. And remembering that all I could remember was putting my hand out for my tablets. I didn't even think they fed me. I came out and said nobody came to see me because I don't remember being visited. I just exited the building. I didn't just not belong. I exited and my brain just disappeared. I just didn't. And I took their drugs to do it even further. And I disappeared and I was able to coexist with the world, but not of the world and not in the world. And it was a terrifying and emancipating period because I couldn't speak and I couldn't look up. And I couldn't look people in the eyes, and I didn't wear any colour, and I didn't feel like I belonged, and I didn't feel like a person, and I didn't feel like it was right for a long time. And so I think that fostering belonging is about being authentic, because the more I could turn up and say, I'm a bit of a mess, actually, and this is why, the more that mess started mending, and the more I was able to turn up. Now, it's still really hard, I feel. It's hard work, and it makes me feel funny. I don't know what that feeling is yet. I'm going to be able to label it one day. That growing feeling. It's like growing pains in my brain. It hurts. And I do believe it's making my neuroplasticity greater. I actually believe that everything I do and everything I am and everything I say and everything I think and everything I drink and eat and the way I move and how I move, and because I move with love, then develops me neurally. So I think I'm fighting my conditions, which is why I feel like I'm always in a battle. But that's okay, because that's what this life's about. Brené Brown said that we were wired for struggle. Wired for struggle. So I'm ready.
I just add on to that about belonging as well. That if you want to know how belonging feels, it's working distance, working from each other, but knowing that you belong to each other. We don't necessarily see each other every day, like people in an office would, but I know that I belong, with my colleagues, with my friends, no matter where we are in the country, no matter where we are. So if that's not fostering belonging, I don't know.
It's a great feeling for me. It's a great feeling. And this time, I've done it the other way up. Right, so I got a big workforce, like 25 staff all over the UK, and I barely knew them, and it was ridiculous, and it didn't work, and it was rubbish. But I'm sure everybody thought their service was okay, but for me it was a horrible experience, and I didn't enjoy it, and I felt like I was less than, and I gave them less than, and there was no relationship really, and it was just an arrangement, and that made me feel a bit unwell. So that's why it's changed this time. So I'm grateful to you all. We're going to make in the past. We're going to go now. I'm everywhere and we're going to need to leave. I've got things to do, places to go and people to see. And I've got some relaxing to do. There's my crayons. I've got some crayons to use and a book to read. So for those of you that don't think I'm relaxing, I'm getting on with it now. So I'm getting on with it. I'm sure that's not the right language. I think you're all incredible. I think we've had a fantastic morning. I think there are important conversations that are now recorded. I think we've got some absolute gold dust. I think between us, we're having a really important conversation that other people are joining in more and more and more, and they will be. This is the place to be. I'm telling you, this is going to grow from where we are to where we're going, and where we're going is exponential. It's just inevitable. You know somebody that needs to belong. You know them. Share this space. You can share this space if you want. If you don't want to, don't. But I think the only way to help people know that you want to belong is let them know. And how better to let them know than share a space about belonging. Hey, I'm interested in belonging. So I just think that just fosters inclusivity and belonging. It also fosters these kind of conversations. And maybe it even fosters a conversation with me and my brother, right? And I love you, Gary. So on that note, I'm going to leave vulnerably, as I should, ending this live and this live and that live. So thank you to everyone for coming. Jude, did you and Mike? Who did? Sorry. Hey.
Thanks, Andre.
Yes, darling.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
And you, sweetheart. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao, ciao. Bye, darling. Bye, everyone. Love you. Bye. Bye, everyone. Love you.